That's right, that's right, that's right. Good morning, all. Welcome. This is Wolfman Jack. You're driving down the traffic right now, trying to get into town. I just want you to know, have yourself a great day, everybody. Seriously, have yourself a great day. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Hi, all. Trust you can hear me. There is a very large piece of industrial equipment right now that's digging, and if it's pulling into the microphone too much, we could postpone the show. I got no problem with that, but you guys are gonna have to speak up right now, seriously, because once the show starts, it's kind of like unzipping your pants. Once it's coming, guys. What we're gonna talk about is coming. It doesn't have to be now. So let's see how it sounds. I probably look like a crazy person, but I don't care. I was up really late pulling stuff in and coming in clear. I don't hear it. That's great. All right, so we're gonna go, huh? You're good? All right, right on. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Yeah, that's right. I'm getting good. I know how to mute and everything. I'm disappointed with a lot of y'all, because we had a chance to put boobies on the moon, and you fucked it up, because you didn't vote for Trump, did you? You voted for Biden, and we lost. We lost something special, something sacred, something that we needed right now during this time of need. We needed boobies on the moon, and you screwed it up, people, because you voted for Biden. Boobies on the moon. Seriously, one of Trump's finer ploys, I gotta say. And when you look at this PSYOP, it's not even a PSYOP. When you look at this government, taxpayer-funded, cheered program, it really shows you a lot, doesn't it? Come on, Sorty. The hummingbirds are running a sortie. Some of y'all get that. Let's listen to the chief himself.
We will land the first woman on the moon,
I hope you guys can
and the
hear that.
United States will be the first nation to land an astronaut on Mars. And NASA is now the hottest space center anywhere in the world.
It's the hottest. It's not only are we gonna put boobies on the moon, but we're gonna have the hottest space center in the world. The hottest. Ow. Oh, let's hear that again.
Over 3.5 years ago, we will land the first woman on the moon, and the United States will be the first nation to land an astronaut on Mars. And NASA is now the hottest space center anywhere in the world. And
The hottest. And you screwed it up. We lost the dream. All this bipartisan bickering. Every time we get this close to nipple on the moon, a liberal comes in and screws it up. Oh, man.
when I
Let's see if I can get past it.
took over 3.5 years ago, there was grass. We will land the first.
No. Okay. And Trump means what he says. Trump means what he says. You watch.
One Space Watch, NASA's gearing up to get American astronauts back on the moon in the next 5 years. The new mission is called Artemis. It's named after the Greek goddess and the twin sister of Apollo. The name's inspiration comes from NASA's goal to land the first woman on the moon by 2024. In order to meet this deadline, the Trump administration wants Congress to approve an additional $1.6 billion for the agency. That's on top of the $21 billion already budgeted for next year.
It's only going to cost $1.6 billion. Side boob, $1.6 billion. Man, why is this a debate? Why'd you vote for Biden? We were so close. We were so close. I could touch it. I could touch it. My God. This voice is creeping you guys out. It's not going to be able to help you. It's probably a mistake.
I have an 11-year-old daughter, and
this is the most important part. This is Jim Bridenstine, NASA administrator, former congressman.
I have an 11-year-old daughter, and I want her to be able to see herself in the same way that our current very diverse astronaut corps sees itself. And if we look at the history of moon landings, it was test pilots from the 1960s and 1970s, fighter pilots, and there were no opportunities for women back then. This program is going to enable a new generation of young girls like my daughter to see themselves in a way that maybe they wouldn't otherwise see themselves.
We were so close. So close. Now,
CBS News space consultant Bill Harwood joins us now from Merritt Island, Florida. So, Bill, pretty ambitious timeline. Do you think NASA can make it?
Well, it's an extremely ambitious timeline, and if you think about it, the $1.6 billion the president is requesting, Jim Bridenstine called that a down payment. There will be more money needed next year, and more than that the year after.
it's just a down payment, guys. That is just a down payment on this goal of helping this poor man's daughter overcome the disability that she feels inside by not having enough pride in her genitals. Now, this is NASA's bold plan to help Congressman Bridenstine's 11-year-old daughter cope with the insecurity of her genitals. And you can see it's a bold plan, but it's getting us there. Now, I had to actually do the math here because no one at NASA is able to project out past the first 2 years, as you're about to see. But knowing that the $1.6 billion is a down payment, and knowing that we're here to solve this 11-year-old daughter's insecurity with her genitals, that we can guarantee that this is going to at least last for 7 years, right? Until she's 18. We can reevaluate how she's feeling when she's 18. But until we get there, we're going to have to spend some money. And Bridenstine has the plan to do it.
So we're going to talk about the Artemis program. We're going to talk about what is the plan? How do we achieve this? We're going to try to put some details into it, and then I'm going to open it up for a few questions. So if we could go to the first slide here. So when we look at this slide, what we're really looking at is a series of missions that takes us from Artemis 1. This is, in fact, the first flight of SLS with an Orion crew capsule that goes around the moon uncrewed. Artemis 1 is an Orion crew capsule that goes around the moon uncrewed. And by the way, it's going to do some significant testing in orbit at the moon as well.
It's really important you understand. If we're going to help her genitals, we're going to have to send a craft there with no one inside. It's the only way to do it. Going to have to send a craft there, but no one can be inside it. Important. In fact, it's an Orion crew capsule that goes around the moon uncrewed. It's not that hard, guys. $1.6 billion. You guys have this. Come on. Where's your heart? Think about her genitals. God, some people. So, I want you to notice that here is the 5-stage plan. And at no point in any of these stages do we actually land on the moon. See? All of these are above the moon. They're all above the moon. Here's the moon. And at no point does this swoop ever go there. Never happens. Just want to point that out. All right, let's keep going.
When we go to Artemis 2, we're talking about the first humans to the moon in the 21st century. Now, these humans are going to enter orbit around the Earth, and we're going to test all of the metabolic systems, all of the life support systems on the Orion crew capsule in orbit around the Earth. That's the best place to test it. We don't want to test it at the moon. I see some people giving me a thumbs up on that. That's the goal. Test it around the Earth. Now, what that means is that
he got thumbs up. People thumbs up. No, you can't be flying men around the moon to work on flying men around the moon. What are you, crazy? What are you doing? Jim, I know your daughter's important, but you got to be safe here. You got to be safe. Come on. We got time.
Now, what that means is that when we do launch it to the moon, which we will do on that flight, we want to take it to the moon. We want all of the life support capabilities tested. Then when we take it to the moon, it's going to not have quite as much delta V as it would have had before, but we can still do a free return trajectory. In other words, we can launch it around the moon. We're not going to get into low lunar orbit. We're not going to be able to test necessarily the navigation capabilities and the maneuverability capabilities, but we can do a free return trajectory after testing the life support capabilities of the spacecraft in orbit around the Earth.
Okay, this is the very last sentence. The very last sentence is key. Around the Earth. Okay. He started the statement, when we do launch it to the moon, which we will do, retarded word salad, of the spacecraft in orbit around Earth. Genitals, they wind inside and outside of each other, and you have to compensate for this stuff, right? You got to compensate for this stuff.
So Artemis 2, look at the timeline here. This is 2019. I know it's hard to see 2024 over there. We're looking ultimately to be able to launch humans around the moon in about 2022 for the first time since the Apollo program.
Sorry, I just had to point out that he said launch humans around the moon. So we're not even using a rocket anymore. We're literally just going to launch humans, they're going to go around the moon. They're not going to orbit the moon. They're not going to go to the moon. They're going to bypass the moon. It's like when you're going through Atlanta, you're going to take 285, not 85. You don't want to be mixed up in all that moon traffic. Come on. Guys, think of the genitals here, okay?
So Artemis 2, look at the timeline here. This is 2019. I know it's hard to see. Now, after that, we've got to start building the gateway. The first element of the gateway is the power and propulsion element. I want to anchor for a second on how important the gateway is.
Okay, a lot is happening here. A, the sexual NLP innuendo is coming. It's getting ready. You'll see it. But B, we've now been told we're going to need a gateway, a Stargate. This guy is now telling you that in order to secure his 11-year-old daughter's security about her genitals, we're going to need a Stargate. And it's going to be expensive. In fact, he's going to anchor on how crucial this Stargate is. The Stargate is not the moon. The Stargate is how we get to the moon. And as you listen to this, I want you to hear the innuendo. Some of you may not know this, but NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is the idea, Mind War actually talks about this. It's not only is it pattern recognition, it's pattern comfort. We find comfort in patterns, and we will seek and look for those patterns, kind of like eddies in a stream, that your kayak will just naturally, when you're good at your kayak, you become subconscious about it. And you just naturally shift into eddies to save calories. You're waiting on your buddy, you're going to have a sandwich, you're going to take a picture, whatever the fuck it is you're going to do. You are naturally trained 100% of the time while you're on the water to just go into eddies. It's how you save calories. And the NLP, the person who's good at the NLP, knows that those eddies are actually comfort zones, and those comfort zones could be erogenous zones. It's going to depend on your tactic and who you're trying to attack. Now, I'm just going to take a stab in the dark and tell you that boobies on the moon is pretty much an appeal to men. I'm not at all trying to suggest that you women are not equally as excited about the implications of boobs on the moon, but basically this is kind of aimed at men and boobs, and that's kind of make it this is a heterosexual space program, the PSYOP, what he's doing right now. Okay, it's important to remember that. And as you're watching this next clip, you're going to see the innuendo really start to come out. And it begins at the Stargate. It begins the only time this man is ever considered the sacred feminine is when he's wanting to build Stargate. By the way, it's called the Lunar Gateway.
The Gateway has solar electric propulsion. It's in what we call a near rectilinear halo orbit, where it is balanced between the Earth's gravity and the Moon's gravity.
Okay.
In that near rectilinear halo orbit, it can use that very, it's small thrust. We're talking about solar electric propulsion, very small thrust.
Just that small.
But it can stay in that orbit for very long periods of time. But because it does have that very light thrust, it can also maneuver. It can go to the L1 point, it can go to the L2 point, and it can go between all of these different very balanced areas between the Earth's gravity and the Moon's gravity and even the Sun's gravity. That's the value of the Gateway.
Okay, I'm just going to be really blatant here. That's what he's talking about. And I know you guys are like, well, you're the one who's perverted. I'm just telling you how this works. He's going to stay here for a very long time at the L1 point and the L2 point. It's going to be a very balanced areas. This is the value of the Gateway. This is the value. This is how important the Gateway is.
Why do we go to the moon? We need the science. We need to learn about this world that is part of the Earth-Moon system. And what the Gateway gives us is more access to more parts of the moon, and that access is not just with landers. Again, it's with robots and rovers and landers and even human landers. Think of it as a command module, a permanent command module in orbit around the moon that can ultimately control these missions on the surface.
Right? So because of science, we're going to use our command module with just the right amount of light thrust to stay around the L1 and the L2, these comfort points. And when we reach these equilibrium comfort points, we are ready to access the Gateway, because the moon is just as important as Mars, and we are going to touch these things. We are going to reach out and touch them. He's selling everything.
Now, as you go forward, once we have the power and the propulsion element, then we need a crew vehicle. We need a pressurized vehicle.
Now, any guy that wants to get laid is going to need a car. It just happens. Man, you know what I'm talking about. When I was 15, my mom told me I was not allowed to drive a car, that I would not be getting my license, I should say. I was devastated. It was a Friday night. Miami Vice was playing. They were driving nice cars. I could feel it in the air of the night. I was drinking milk. I felt really lame. I stole my mom's car. Men need cars. They need horses. The most primal need of a man is that transportation. Man, these guys are jousted. Very important for a man to have that. Gotta have a car. It's very appealing. Very appealing. This guy's a congressman, by the way. There's no science background at all. I don't know if you guys could tell that, by the way. He's talking about the rectilinear orbits and stuff. But
now, as you go forward, once we have the power and the propulsion element, then we need a crew vehicle. We need a pressurized vehicle.
Now, he's explaining that by 2024, we will have assembled and aggregated at the gateway 3 elements of a lander. Everyone knows that a vehicle has 4 tires. So we haven't actually gotten there, but we've aggregated the pieces at the gateway. And this is in 2024, which 2018, 6 years, 1.6 billion times 6. Assuming the price never goes up. 1.6 times 6. That's $9.6 billion. To aggregate at the gateway with 3 pieces of a car. And the bad news is we haven't actually solved how we're getting there yet.
So by 2024, the gateway will be complete and we will have a lander complete. Now we've got to get there. How do we get there? We launch on the SLS and Orion with the European Service Module. Yes, our international partners are involved in this from day one.
Sorry about that. Yeah, he's telling you, so we spent all this money, but we don't actually have the transportation yet solved. We're going to need international support. We're going to need to take your tax dollars, some of this extra money, and bribe someone else who's willing to come in on this lie with us. That's how this works. It's a brilliant plan. And it's entirely based around the neurolinguistic programming of people. None of this would work without NLP. Not one bit of this would work without NLP. And you think about how NASA wastes money, but they don't. They're spending their money as effectively and professionally as they can to pull this off. Do you know, this would only work with a lot of money, guys. It would only work with a dream of an 11-year-old's genital securities. It's the only way this thing would take.
We'll be on Artemis 3 in the year 2024. In the meantime, you can see the surface of the moon down here. We're going Earth to the moon. The swoosh takes us to the moon.
He just explained how you saw it. I don't need to tell you that. I don't need to regurgitate what you just saw. Now,
in the meantime, we have these different robotic missions on the south pole of the moon, operated under a new system that we call CLPS, the Commercial Lunar Payload Services. We are testing again our new model of acquisition.
That's a quick nod to the South Pole. South Pole exists, man. The moon's got one. So we got one too. Come on. Come on. This is brilliant.
Eventually we're going to have larger scale landers and then humans on the moon for the first time in the 21st century in the year 2024.
Okay. That's how you sell. That's how you close. You put it's so far out, it outlasts any president, right? It outlasts any administration's promise. So no one even has to lie. It's like, well, hey, we promised it. We were working on it. Hey, we spent the money. Hey, man, we spent the money. We spent $1.6 trillion for that little girl. We can't help it if Biden came in and screwed it up. We had no idea that was going to happen. Like when we were planning our 5-year plan, we didn't realize that we were going to be in office for 4 years. We had no idea. We had no idea. How could we know? It's just a bunch of bullshit. It's just a bunch of really, really technical. It's not even technical. It's anti-technical bullshit. And these people spent about $350 million preparing for this plan to get women on the moon. And I'm trying to picture what kind of science that they're writing down. Well, we had to do drag coefficients of side nippular angular thrust. And, it's a near linear coefficient to the anal rectal coefficiental orbit. And we have to account for these things. It's science, James. It's like vaccines. You don't know how this works, James. It's really complicated. We have to put a lot of money in this. We have to analyze the bra potential in space. We have to look at the vertical displacement and breast size versus nipple diameter. Some serious work. And for that serious work, seriously, this is not a joke. That money we spent, it's estimated $345 million. I don't know how much we spent because it doesn't actually say. The closest report was the OIG I read. It was like hundreds of millions of dollars. So I put $345 million just so I would be a marker, hoping I would find the actual number, but I can't find the actual number. So just so you know, 345 is a placeholder number for me for hundreds of millions of dollars, but I can't give you a source because they hide this shit. Just like the other day, someone's like, well, James, your CDC graph, when I go to CDC, I can't pull up those numbers. And it's like, yeah, because it says there's too many results. It says that. It says, no, you can only have 10,000 injuries. If you have more than 10,000 injuries, this graph's not going to show. You need to break down the graph. Why? Because it feels better. And that $345 million, asterisk by that number, paid for this concept drawing. This is a fucking concept drawing from NASA. A concept drawing. This is their CGI department, their own CGI department, putting out this. It makes you mad until you realize it's us, it's not them. This is not NASA being evil. This is us neurolinguistically being slaves to Pied Pipers. And he's not playing a whistle, he's stroking it, isn't he? Now, 2 days ago, NASA's new spacesuits are now delayed, making a 2024 moon landing not feasible. U.S. astronaut moon landing not feasible by 24, NASA Inspector General. U.S. astronauts, it's just not feasible, man. It's not feasible. And this happened right after Trump left office, so everything's clean. Everything's clean. Not only is it clean, but Artemis, this program, look at how many partners they had across the United States. Now, when you are paying a large company for a program that's not real, that is hush money. And that's why so many flat earthers will tell you NASA is a jobs program. It's a jobs program. And that jobs program is extortion. It's bribery money. It's hush money is what it is. It's conscious hush money. Because it doesn't matter. You can either believe in us or not. It doesn't matter. And it's why congressmen go to Washington. And it's why Jim Bridenstine, NASA's golden boy, the administrator of NASA, not like a manager, the administrator of NASA, after leaving NASA is now at Acorn Growth Company. And he's not talking about his daughter's dreams anymore. Suddenly his daughter's dreams are not that important. It didn't say he was fired. It says, no, his tenure was up at NASA. That's all. He chose to leave because his tenure was up. Hey, what are you going to do? He didn't know when he was planning a 5-year mission to land women on the moon, something that was so colossally important to him that the self-esteem of his own daughter was riding on this. How was he to know that in 2 years his tenure would be up and that this 5-year program wasn't going to be able to work? How could he have foreseen that? What kind of fortune-telling mystery are you guys expecting these people to have? What kind of powers? Come on. It's this, it's so thick that it becomes hard for us to palatably accept that this is true. He's not even a top row on the capital management team on their website. He's not even like super important. And what does Acorn claim to do in the satellite business, of course? Technology. We do technology stuff. That's all. And when you try and look up this psychopath's history, which is hard, by the way, because he's eliminated all of his social media, been criticized for that. He was a Tea Party candidate who suddenly decided that gender equality was going to require $9.6 billion taken out of our funds. Now, his only history in the space, his only experience in space, he has a degree in psychology. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's a master's or a bachelor. He's a degree in psychology. Psychology. His only experience as administrator of NASA is that he marketed a museum. And at that museum in Tulsa, he tried to bring a space shuttle. They tried to buy a space shuttle. And he met the world of blackmail because he understood very quickly what a space shuttle truly means. That this is a Maltese Falcon. And part of this bribery is, hey, do you want this prop that we use for this? And that you now have an entire religion built on a relic. This is a relic. This is no different than the head of John the Baptist. Right? The head's going to be worth more, but I got a finger. Hey, you want to buy the finger of John the Baptist? Because we got one for sale right here. And even though he claimed how successful his events were there, he actually lost $500,000. So his only experience at all in aerospace was at a museum where he lost $500,000. And I think that $500,000 he lost, I can't prove this, I think it went to bribery for that space shuttle. I think that he saw really quick that someone said, well, if you give me $200,000, I can tell people we're considering you for the space shuttle. And when I tell people I'm considering you, I'm going to say, yeah, there's this really bright person named Jim Bridenstine who's just really, really on top of it. And I got to tell you, Tulsa's a really in the running now. These guys really, really have their stuff together because of this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed guy. And at his confirmation hearing, it was known at least one board member, I'll just read it from the article, at least one board member has strayed from this collective opinion. The opinion of being that we're not going to comment on Jim Bridenstine because we don't want to get political. This guy's, the person who's the planetarium was named after, said the best day for the museum was the day Jim Bridenstine left. While I respect Jim's service to our country as an aviator, I can't imagine how he is qualified to run a congressional district if, in my judgment, he can't effectively manage our Air and Space Museum. Jim was fired. He said he retired. His reasons were, well, I had to quit the Space Museum because of my obligations to enlisting in the Navy. That, well, I had to because, see, I enlisted and then they said I had to do this. And what are you going to do? I didn't know. That's the only reason why I left. So he was covering his entire life up the entire way and people were watching. He was obediently demonstrating his ability to play the game. His ability to suckle on that teat of boobs on the moon and go for it. And this is what you see in D.C. because this is a competition. People come to D.C., they get a little taste of the space shuttle, and they start to understand what it's about there. And the cream rise to the top. And the moral run away. But the shit cream rises to the top. And this guy didn't even need credentials. All he needed was a demonstration, his ability to bribe, his ability to lie. I can't prove that but where else did that money go? Why would you go from failing as a museum director? You didn't even last 2 years in that job. It's reported you've lost $500,000. The own namesake of the museum's telling everybody you're a shithole, you're a shitbag. Where do you think that money went? Because the next thing you know, he's elected to Congress. And the next thing you know, he's in charge of NASA. And he's a Tea Party candidate insisting that the only way we're going to fix this government is by shrinking everything and stop spending money on silly programs like gender equality. By the way, my daughter really needs $9.6 billion because she's really, really uncomfortable about her genitals, man. She doesn't like it. Voting is denial, right? You know that. And the worse it gets, the more we'll wake up. So let it get worse, man. Let it get worse. I can't tell which one of these is creepier. I can't. Some of you are going to instantly say, oh, it's definitely the one on the left. But I don't know. You're just getting to know Jim. You got to let him sink in. After 3 years, only after 3 years, he had already spent $4.8 billion for his 11-year-old genital security. And all our world leaders surrounded him and said, he's our man. This is our man. This is our guy. Elon Musk. There's too many pictures to show you of Musk and this guy. and they're actually engaged quite a bit. He is running NASA. Bezos, everyone else who's pretending to be in the space program, had to work with him during this time. It was mutual. And imagine what it feels like to be Musk, to sniff out someone like Jim and realize, oh, you're a low-level psychopath. You don't actually have the ability to convince. And you truly start to see the power of Musk. Seriously. You start to see the power of his charisma, that he has the ability to hold that room to say, no, this is legit. I have a fucking car orbiting space. It's legit, he says. Which one of these would you believe is more of the space pioneer, right? If anything, Jim makes Musk look more real. Beautiful NLP. And it's interesting because Jim even described, well, my job in the Navy was to get shot down. I was supposed to fly the pilot that would get shot down. If I did a good job, I would be shot down. His entire career has been this. It's been, I will be your professional patsy fall guy. I'll say whatever the hell it is you want me to say. Let's sell boobies on the moon, man. I'll make it happen, right? And that just yesterday, you and me, well, I don't pay taxes, but anyone who paid taxes yesterday just learned that they lost $1 billion on a spacesuit. Just on the spacesuit. That's separate from all the genital money that went into his daughter feeling insecure. That's separate. That after spending $1 billion, all they get to say is, yeah, it's not feasible. We're not going to make it. It's not going to make it. And since we're not going to make it, we're not going to. Why would we do that? Why would we build a spaceship when all you gave us was $1 billion? Come on. We ran out of time. Time's up. Hey, clock speaks. What are you going to do? Union rules, right? Simple. It's simple when no one cares. We have expectation, and Trump gave us expectation, and then we have reality. These boobies on the moon aren't what I thought they were going to be. I had a totally different idea, right?
Will you make sure there is a large enough cadre of women qualified to go to the moon? Absolutely. We will make sure. In fact, if you look at the current astronaut corps, the brand new class, the newest class, the class going through training right now, is 50% women. And I think the class before that had maybe not that high of a percentage, but a good amount as well.
He doesn't even know.
I will tell you this, we have great women at NASA right now. When we talk about the astronauts that will go to the moon in 2024, it will likely be one of the astronauts that currently exists in the astronaut corps.
That's brilliant, Jim.
We have not selected, I get this question all the time, well, which one is it going to be? I'll tell you this, according to the president, the next man and the first woman on the moon will be Americans. I want to be clear, we do want to go with international partners, but I also want to be clear that if we're going to make this happen in 2024, we're going to need a highly skilled, already trained astronaut, and I would imagine she is already in the astronaut corps. And by the way, just because it's the next man and the first woman doesn't mean that the next two people, they could both be women, by the way. So that's, I think, also an important point to make.
Yeah, guys, look, just because we said we're going to put a man and a woman on the moon doesn't mean that they're going to both be men. So I don't know how you got that idea in your head, but it could be lesbians. That's right. It could be lesbians, guys. Vote. Things we need.
Just as the United States was the first nation
Money.
to reach the moon in the 20th century, so too
Women.
will we be the first nation to
Look at
return
that concept
astronauts
drawing.
to the moon in the 21st
Get your
century.
checkbook out, people.
And I'm here on the President's behalf to tell the men
God
and
bless
women of the
America.
Marshall Space Flight Center and the
Guys, we can do this. We can put boobies on the moon. You and me together can find a way to put boobies on the moon. Think about it. Boobies. On their way to the moon. That's right, guys. Open your checkbooks right now and give me some super chats, and I will send that money to NASA because we are going to put boobies in a rocket with thrust, solar thrust, pushing those boobies as fast as technology can all the way, but not quite actually reaching there, to the moon. Yes, the moon. We can do this, people. We can work together to put boobies on the moon. Oh God, man. I'm so disappointed that some of you didn't vote for Trump. It shows how selfish all of you can be. And I don't like it at all. All right. I hope you liked that presentation. I thought it was going to take 5 minutes. And last night I actually started reading up on this jackass. And I couldn't believe how easy it was. I just couldn't believe how easy this is. That you just take some boobies and you tell everybody you're going to put them in a spaceship and you're going to take them to the moon. And that's government, that's religion, that's the vaccine, that's every psyop you've ever heard that's been layered on top of every other psyop you've ever heard. These things are why we're here. This rapture that you're watching unfold is 100% consent based. And you are going to be just fine. Don't lose energy on NASA. What I mean by that is that unless you're paying taxes, then you just really need to think about that. You just really, seriously, you just need to really consider, why is it moral for me to do this? Is it moral for me to do this? I mean, not only are you looking at the fraud, but if you just consider all the pain that our collective psyche through abandoning itself causes other people, there's a really moral issue with you even doing that. The only way we're ever going to fix this is if taxes became potlatch, is if it became voluntary. It's the only way. And the only way it's going to do that is if people just voluntarily make it that way. And it's funny because that's exactly how you gain sovereignty. A sovereign man would do what I did, which is like, I morally just can't pay taxes. And I don't feel like I can get away with it. I feel like they could punish me. And if I say that out loud, like I've done now, they could use me as an example. All kinds of things like that. I know that I have some shit coming to me because of that. I know that. But because of the fortunate situation I'm in, yeah, fortunate. I don't have a family. I don't have kids that are relying on me. I don't have anyone in my care per se that needs me to be well, that I have the calories and ability to focus on morality. And I'm not trying to say I'm more moral than any of you. I don't think I am. I'm trying to say that in this one niche, I have the ability to spend some calories. And I'm doing that. And it feels good, but it also feels bad. It's a lot of paranoia goes along with it. It's not comfortable to do this. In fact, if I was to ever really, really take off enough financially, I would actually pay taxes because it would be a luxury that I could afford, if that makes sense. It would be a luxury bubble that I could afford to wrap around me. This is part of the rapture. And I would like for you to consider that okay, think about it this way. A guy comes up to you and says, hey, give me a piece of silver. I'm going to take my piece of silver. We're going to pay that guy to stab that guy over there. And you're going to say no. No, that's highly immoral. I'm not going to do that. And that guy's going to come up to you tomorrow and he's going to say, well, give me a piece of silver and my piece of silver and this other guy's pieces of silver and these 3 pieces of silver, we are going to shuffle them up and 2 of them are going to be used to pay that guy to stab that guy over there. And you're going to be like, no, I don't want to do that. Immoral. And he's like, yeah, but you don't even know if it's your coin. It's like, yeah, but still, it's immoral. Take that math and just carry it out. Take that math, and now that person's coming up to you and saying, hey, 250 million supposed voters are going to take the tiniest fingernail sliver of a piece of silver off the tiniest portion of the tiniest part of a coin that no one would notice if it's gone anyway, James. And that tiny piece of silver is going into a pot. And out of that pot, a small, tiny portion, like so small it'll probably never ever touch the portion of silver you put in, that tiny, teeny tiny portion will be used to lie or subjugate or spread a psyop that's not true. And that's where we are now. That's where we are. These things are going to get harder because you're evolving. Your moral coding, your moral psychic coding, God, I'm so sorry, is evolving. And the challenges have to be higher. There has to be more booby. There has to be more temptation. There has to be more threat, right? I'm going to shut the show down now because I can't even hear myself. I'm so sorry. I hope you enjoyed the show anyway. And we were going to do mail, but I can't even think. I'm just glad I was able to finish this. I'm sorry about that. Thanks, guys. Have a beautiful day. Yeah. I'm going to have to. I can't even stand it. We'll see you guys next time, though. Let's see.